Hello everybody and welcome to the J72 Gaming channel. My name is Jacob, but you guys can just call me Jay here. And today I want to take you guys on an adventure, a little bit of an experiment that I ran. I was playing the Tenontosaurus and I saw this, that two of its diets are located on islands. And I thought to myself, well, there's a giant island that I've never really been to, never bothered flying over there with the Pteranodon, down in the southeast of the map. And so today I want to take on that adventure to see, one, is it possible to actually get over there as the Tenontosaurus? Two, is it possible to survive over there? And most importantly, three, is it actually gonna spawn in the preferred food? So sit back, kit back, and grab a snack as we dive into this experiment and figure out if those are possible. Alright, so our adventure starts here today, right after I went to the sanctuary. I spawned up in the northeast by the northern lake, and immediately went to the sanctuary. I did actually see a little raptor, which was kind of cool, kind of threatened him with my tail, which is always fun as a Tenontosaurus with a tail slam. But anyway, yeah, I got the preferred diet, and I wanted to head over to the coast. Now, to start off this adventure, I kind of had a few goals in mind. My first mutation, I did just grab Food Drain. I usually grab it just because it's really nice, but it's not necessarily necessary in this situation on the Tenontosaurus to get to the islands. But what is necessary is going to be saltwater drinking. Now, this is a mutation. It's a secret mutation, although a lot of the population of the Isle players know this at that point, so it's in quotation marks, secret. But yeah, to get this, we need to drink a lot of salt water, and I'll explain that more when we get there. But to do so, we're going to have to drink salt water and then fresh water and kind of go back and forth. So I wanted to find a place near this section of the map here. I'll show you this. This is the east side of the map, and ready, we're going to enhance. Fancy, I know. There's a little, very, very tiny freshwater pond here that is really secret, in my opinion. It's very overlooked by most of the population of this game, and personally, I had never been there. There's not really a reason to go over there unless you're doing something kind of weird like this. But you can see that this freshwater pond is actually really close to this island chain. And that's going to be kind of our route over to the island. So we continued running over there and made our way over there. So once we made it to the pond, I still had to kind of grow my Tenontosaurus, right? I still had to play the Isle a little bit. So luckily, I sniffed around and found out that the migration zone was actually the river delta, which was super close. So we made our way over there to grow a little bit and to hopefully find some diet to kind of make sure we grow fast enough that this wouldn't take forever. Yeah, before leaving, we filled up on water, and we were about 16, almost 17% grown before we took off to the river delta, and I wanted to be somewhere around 30-40%. Well, actually, I needed to be 30-40% to get the next mutation, which was going to be our saltwater. So I needed to go for two reasons. One, spend some time to grow so we're big enough so we can actually make the distance of the swim, because you're just going to swim faster if you're a bigger Tenontosaurus. And, yeah, we needed to get that mutation unlocked. So went over there, and luckily, pretty easily, actually, I found S diet, and right after I sniffed out the S diet, I found the 3-dot diet, and I don't normally do this, guys, but for the sake of me having a very specific challenge and goal in mind, I sat in a bush. I did the bush simulator. Sue me, I'm sorry, I normally walk around and just try to find more diets to be preemptive, but they were right in front of me, and I just needed a little bit of growth, so I played some bush simulator. So after I sat around for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, maybe not even that, it wasn't too long, but I got a little bit hungrier, right? I ran over and I did eat the 3 diets, and I went back to another bush, sat for another 10, 20 minutes, whatever it was. And at that point, the sunrise came up, and I thought this was really symbolic. It was, you know, christening a new day, and we got to see the sunrise over the islands. That was our goal, so I thought it was kind of cool, right? I was like, ooh, looks good, and that's our goal, right? We're gonna get there soon. So at this point, I was about 32% grown, and I figured I'm gonna get my second mutation relatively soon, so I can start making my way back to our freshwater, saltwater area pond that we're planning to get the saltwater drinkable mutation, which, by the way, is called reticulate kidneys or something. I'll show it later. But before then, I scouted out just a little bit to see if I could find the 2-line diet, and couldn't. I tend to have issues with at least one of the 3 diets every time I play a creature. One of them is just always more rare. I don't know what that's about, but anyway. Couldn't find it, so I just settled to fill up in a little bit more S diet. And in reality, you'll see it a little bit later, it's not going to matter, because I end up puking it up anyway while drinking the salt water. But yeah, got my diets and headed back to the freshwater pond. Now, once we made it to the freshwater pond, I had to initiate Operation Saltwater, which, to be honest, I have played a saltwater croc now, and I've played a saltwater bipe even, and during both of those moments, I didn't really understand how exactly to get saltwater, but have no fear, I think I've got it figured out now. So originally I just thought you have to drink salt water 3 or 4 times, like completely drain your thirst meter and then fill it up with water and then, fresh water and then drain it with salt water, and you do that multiple times. And then another time with the bipe, I had salt water and thought I just had to wait it out, right? But here's the truth. Here's my myth busting, and I think I figured it out both by looking at Reddit and through trial and error here. You can see here when I drink salt water, it'll say fluid deficient. And really what you need to do is you just need to keep drinking salt water until that disappears. Now, you don't have to fully drain your thirst meter. You can just drink a little bit and run back to fresh water and drink a little bit more and run back to fresh water. In fact, that might even be more beneficial, so you can minimize the chance of you puking. Because you can see here when I puke, I lose a bunch of my diets. I lose a ton of hunger. I lose a lot of thirst, and it limits my stamina. So it's a bad time overall. And then plus you gotta wait for your vomit sickness to wear off, right? So what ended up happening in this situation, and this actually happened with my bipe too, is as I was trying to continually drink salt water, the server reset. And the way that your mutation actually triggers to appear is when that fluid deficiency disappears. And that could be by drinking enough salt water, or in my case, when I logged back on after the reset, it was gone, thus triggering my mutation list to be like, hey, he had fluid deficiency, and now it's gone. So I was able to take the saltwater mutation. So now finally, after growing a little bit and getting to about 40% grown, and specifically getting our saltwater mutation, I could finally head out to the islands. But first, I wanted to kind of test my swimming. So you can see here that I actually used this little strip of island, or the slip of bay, if you will, to test my swimming, because this is almost the distance that we're gonna have to travel to get from one of the offshoot islands over to the main big one. And I was very happily surprised. You can see here that the Tenontosaurus swims like an absolute champ. It's pretty quick, and your stamina doesn't drain like at all. And now keep in mind, I'm not even fully grown, so I'm assuming the speed and the stamina drain is even better once you're fully grown. So feel free to swim with these guys, because Tenontos have no fear. I mean, obviously they fear crocs, right? But not so much out in the salt water. So yeah, these guys can move. So now with everything in place, we finally headed out to the islands. And with one final call, we left the mainland and set out into the strip of islands. Now I'll show you real quick on the map where we are and kind of the route we're going to take. This strip of sandbank really leads out into these very tiny islands. And my goal, of course, like I said in the beginning, I really wanted to see if food actually spawned out here. And then secondarily, I was just curious, right? I hadn't been out to this main island, and this main island's huge. Like it's twice the size of the swamp. So that gives you kind of an idea of just how big this island actually is. So I really wanted to see if I could find things, and a little bit of a spoiler, I did. But first thing, we went out to this secondary island, and I sniffed around, hoping for some diets, and didn't find any. But luckily, the Tenontosaurus can just graze, and with the grazing of the grass and the ability to drink salt water, I really wasn't worried about dying out here. So now came for the time for us to cross the big ocean gap from the small islands over to the big one. And originally I was a little worried, but since I just tested back on the mainland in that strip of bay, I wasn't worried at all, honestly. And so, I regained my stamina and took off, and you can see here, absolutely had no problem at all with swimming across. So I really do wonder later in the lifespan of the Isle if these islands are really going to be used more. And, once we have more fully aquatic creatures, more semi-aquatics, and perhaps more creatures that actually have diets on the islands, that these will be fleshed out a little bit more. I do know that Donnie and the rest of the dev team do like to change their maps over time and update it based off the new creatures and the new mechanics in the game. I do know, like, coming up isle soon, so maybe 6 months, we will be getting a new rework to the southern swamp and the South Plains area, kind of expanding the swamp. So I do hope that these islands aren't really ignored, and that going forward that they're used a little bit more as they are currently. So now that we're on the main island, my goal really has always been to find those diets, but also to start looking at all the different areas to see if we can find something that isn't really mentioned on the maps, right? So the first thing I noticed here was a little bit of a road, which wasn't super interesting, I guess, but kind of noteworthy in its own regard. Ran over here at the end of the road, found a cool vista view looking back at the mainland, and honestly, got a lot of really good screenshots and a lot of good angles here, just looking back at the rest of the Gateway map, which is really cool. There's also a ton of like interesting rock features on the far east side that I found fascinating and was debating in the future to maybe use as a pteranodon nesting spot, although I'm not sure if you can really find enough sea turtles to actually fill your diet out here if you were a pteranodon. But this leads us to the most interesting thing I found on the island. About halfway through the island, there is actually human structures. And now check it out. It's small. It's not the craziest thing in the world. It's literally just a pipe that leads into the mountain. But the fact that it's out here surprised me. I don't think really many people, if anybody, has bothered documenting this or finding it at all. So I'm going to stake claim on it. I found this. Not really, but I do find it fascinating that it's out here, and it does lead, you know, some of that Isle lore that is kind of hinted at, that the humans have been developing research facilities, and they're caging dinosaurs, and you know, it's all going to, hopefully, in a few years, all accumulate into a really cool human side of the game, where there's human structures everywhere, the human playables can actually go there and do whatever they're going to do. Who knows? We're all, you know, theory crafters when it comes to how the humans are actually going to work in this game. But yeah, I found this fascinating, ran up to it and kind of checked it out, and then as I was kind of leaving it and heading back further south on the island, I actually found another entrance to presumably the same research facility or whatever these pipes lead to. So there's actually two pipes here leading into the same chunk of mountain, which, yeah, I found pretty fascinating. Unfortunately, though, while that was really cool, the entire time I was sniffing for diets and didn't find any the entire time, which was kind of a bummer, not gonna lie. So I was just eating grass and just grazing constantly, and, you know, drinking salt water and all of that. But, you know, I was really bummed. A lot of the time I play this game, some of my biggest complaints have been the food systems. And I'm not going to lie, currently, right now, in Gateway, it's the best it's ever been. Isla Spyro was really frustrating because they said they would be in, you know, in jungles or whatever. But realistically, the food in jungles would be in one specific spot, right? One specific jungle. So I've always wished that, you know, it says that these mangoes and coconuts are going to be on the islands, but they're just not, right? If it's not on the biggest island, it's not on the island. And perhaps it's on some in the Northwest Ridge area, and there's a few smaller islands out here in the southeast that I didn't swim to. But come on, it should be on the biggest island, in my opinion. And it doesn't have to be plentiful. That's what the migration zones are for. But I really do think they should be out here, you know, at least a little bit. Maybe have the respawn timer be really low, so it can only really sustain 1, 2, maybe 3 creatures out here before they're forced to go to the migration zone. But yeah, I was really excited about the human structure, but I was really bummed out to learn that I couldn't actually find any diets. So good things, bad things were found out here on this adventure, but one of the best things that happened was these vista views, and I did make it to the very southern tip of the island to see a really cool sunset that I'm going to let play out here at the end of the video, and then during night I explored to the very, very, very southeastern tip of the map and logged out over there. But I'm gonna show you guys the sunset, because I thought it was, I mean, it's the Isle, right? It's absolutely gorgeous. So before that sunset, guys, I just want to thank you guys for watching. This is a little fun experiment. I have a lot of weird challenges in my brain when it comes to the Tenontosaurus now that I know that I can swim and that it runs really fast. But if you guys have any takes from this video, anything that you want to comment, please let me know down below. And yeah, let me know what you think about the island specifically, and if you agree with me on whether or not it should have some coconuts, right? I mean, It's a coconut. There's coconut trees, there's palm trees, like where are the coconuts, right? Anyway, folks, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the little bit of a scenic sunset as this video plays out. But that's it for me. I've been Jay, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. But until next time, peace out.